This review of Might and Magic 6 may contain spoilers and coarse language. If neither of those bother you, then have fun watching and enjoying this review. Well, geez, I butt-fucked this game long enough, so now it's finally time to talk to you guys about Might and Magic. It's a dungeon-crawling game series that focuses a lot on exploring and combat over any more traditional story elements to it. This is a series that I really like, and I have so many fond memories of it. My first team game, 3D game, and RPG were all Might and Magics. Or technically it was just one of them, but still, it all kind of connects. I love these games, and they've influenced my life more than I think. But since nobody's out there showing off how fan-fucking-tastic these games really are, then it's my job to do so. We're going to start by looking at the first part of the Enroth Trilogy, Might and Magic 6. Why start the sixth one? Might and Magics 1 through 5 are mostly a self-contained story. There is an instance between 3 and 4 with the 7th entry in this series, which we will talk about when we do get to 7. But now, I have to talk to you all about why you should play this franchise, from start to finish. Might and Magic 6 takes place on the world of Enroth, on a continent that's also called Enroth. I know, that's not confusing at all. In this world, the inhabitants live in a reconstructed civilization after a great collapse that happened 1,000 years ago. But as prophesized, said creatures that caused the collapse came back, the Kriegen. The player characters that you control are the 4 lone survivors from their town of Sweetwater on the night the Kriegen invaded. And after 3 years of training, this is when the game begins. On your quest, you learn of a great destruction that could come true if left unchecked, as the Kriegens are building a giant planet-destroying tower that can blow up the planet too if it were destroyed. With that, you have to unite the 6 dynasties that inhabit the land via doing quests to let you see the Oracle of Enroth. A special oracle. Let's get into the gameplay first before we go any further with this plot. So Might and Magic 6 was quite a marvel when it came out. While not boasting incredible graphics, it had a huge, colorful world that was all connected by 15 square worlds, allowing you to travel to many locations. With many dungeons and a good, say, 50 hours of content, it was a packed world, and somewhat crazy because it was more exploring-focused over linear gameplay. But best of all, unlike many Western RPGs at the time, Might and Magic 6 was special because it didn't crash constantly like all the others. So a massive world was possible without the game crashing or using random generation. The gameplay in Might and Magic is focused on 2 sides of a coin, and no, it's not Might and Magic. It's turn-based or real-time combat. While playing the game, it's normally defaulted to real-time combat. In turn-based mode, entered by hitting enter, the world around you can only attack and move for a certain amount. While in turn-based mode, you can't move at all, except for flying. This is important. But it levels the playing field by making enemies you couldn't take out in real-time killable in turn-based mode. Like most RPGs, Might and Magic 6 has skill trees for characters and levels and skill points and all that jazz. While this game, however, you can't level up as soon as you hit the XP cap. You have to go to a trainer and pay to level up. On every level up, you get a certain amount of skill points, and you use those skill points to increase those skills. However, it costs the same amount of skill points it would take to level up something. So a level 3 to 4 costs 4 skill points. How you use these skill points is integral to the game. You create a party of 4 human characters who have 6 classes to choose from. There's the Knight, who's great at combat, the Cleric, who's great at healing magic, and the Sorcerer, who's great at elemental magic. Then you have hybrid classes with the Paladin being a Knight Cleric, an Archer being a Knight Sorcerer, and a Druid being a Cleric Sorcerer. All 6 of these characters are conveniently promoted by the Lords of Enroth. In most cases, these quests are pretty damn easy. You want to know how you promote a Druid? You go to a stone circle on an equinox. That's it. You can just rest there until it's the day. So with that, I would recommend doing those quests. However, be aware that when you do promote yourself, it does cost more money to level up. But one important thing to note is that the only difference between classes are the base leveling up for their hit points and mana, and what they can learn, but not what they can learn up to. For example, an archer can learn sword and get master rank in it just like a knight and paladin can. But an archer can't learn shield, so you have to choose if you want to give him 2 swords and wait so that he can dual wield, or, since he can't learn shield, learn spear or axe so that he can at least use something to make up for his lack of shield, but at the cost of a slower attack. There's stuff like that which makes building characters and thinking about the strengths so unique, and it's especially because every character can master every skill they learn. Which also leads to miscellaneous skills, because every class can learn every miscellaneous skill, except a knight can't learn meditation because, well, doesn't really have any spell points. Now you can see how party management works here. You give the necessary skills to the right people to grow your party. The most important skills would have to be Disarm Trap, Identify Item, and Merchant. Disarm Trap lets you open chests that have booby traps on them so you don't hurt yourself, Identify Items tells you what treasure you found, and Merchant lets you sell that treasure. Yes, you need that money. There's also the series staples of barrels. These barrels house things to increase your stats, which you're going to need if you need to promote some of your skills. If you also want to increase your stats, you can use alchemy. Alchemy isn't a skill in this game, but it's something you can do right at the beginning. Because of this, there are some things that you can make right at the start if you remember how to make some of the potions. The only downside to being able to do it at the start is that everything is based off of trial and error, so there's no way you're going to know how to make any of these potions at all. So make sure you save before you blow yourself up. Success. As the same with leveling up your class, getting your skills to expert and master ranks all require you to pay as well. Yeah, there's a third M in Might and Magic, and that's money. Money is super essential in this game, and it's hard to find near the beginning, which really makes it a challenging game from the get-go. You can at least use this to your advantage in certain situations. Random generation is a huge proponent to this game for what it spawns in stores. So you can save right before entering a store to see the inventory. If nothing's good, you can reload your save and try again. Trust me, it can get super broken at times. But in 6, you usually find much better items in the wild over buying it in store. Every game past this one has this ability, so even up to the end, you'll see me doing tricks like this at times. But in most cases, you're going to a store to sell your loot. The inventory system in this game is somewhat simplistic. Much like some other games, you have to organize your inventory in order to maximize what you can carry. The only issue with this game is how it defaults to sorting your inventory. Instead of doing it left to right, it does it top to bottom, which makes carrying spears and stuff very annoying because you have to sort your inventory every time. And yes, that is why the merchant skill is so handy, so you can buy and sell things at the price that they're supposed to be sold and bought at. The thing with skills is that you need to join guilds in order for you to learn them. Ah, great. So that means you have to spend money to get them. Then you also have to spend money in order for you to promote yourself to it, so expert and master ranks all have different requirements. With expert, it's always at 4. With master, it's always random. That means it could be any sort of requirement. Some are easy like sword master, where all you have to be is rank 8 in sword and a cavalier. It doesn't even cost money. But then there's other bad ones like water magic, where you have to have 12 points in it. That sucks. But Might and Magic 6 doesn't really have a way for you to mark NPCs and locations on your map. I have pages and pages of places I need to go that I've written down on repeat playthroughs, which you're definitely not going to have if this is your first time. But that's okay, because it's fun to learn about these locations and NPCs. When you do have notes like this, it makes repeat playthroughs of the game even better, which is definitely where the game shines. Make sure that those notes of yours also mark some other important things, like shrines, which you're definitely going to need if you need to see the Seer of Enroth. Should you ever be lost in this game, or just plain stupid, you can easily consult the Seer of Enroth. He'll tell you to visit shrines during certain seasons to permanently boost your stats. He'll also give you extremely important quest items in case you lose them. He's also in every game after this, so if you're ever lost, you just gotta find where your seer is. And thank goodness that you can't just keep losing quest items and finding them to sell them. Boy, that could be disastrous. The quests and dungeon design in this game are so fun. There are so many memorable moments and cool tricks that make every quest quite the experience. Look, I won't deny that the majority of quests in this game are fetch quests, but I need a reason to explore and loot, right? Hey, find memory crystals. Okay. Hey, find my dagger. Okay. Hey, find the Prince of Thieves. Okay! But of the quests, the most powerful one is the Obelisk quest. This is a quest where on all 15 overworld maps, you can find a stone pillar that gives you a clue. Once you find them all, you're rewarded with 250,000 gold and the best light and dark spells. So if you're me and you know where they all are because of your notes, yeah, that makes it pretty easy. Might Magic 6 also lets you carry 2 non-quest essential NPCs with you at any given time. You can have the NPCs that do stat boosts, and to have NPCs that cast spells and heal your party. But they normally take all your gold because that's what they are, they're hirelings. You can also have as many quest NPCs on you at all times, so you never have to worry about firing some of your hirelings. Now the spells in this game are so good, you have no clue! So much so that I would say magic's the dominant strategy in this game. Until you get a certain special weapon near the end. Anyway, the spells in this game are crazy good. With elemental magics, you're primarily focused on damage, and tons of spells have different variations of the same sort of idea. Like Fire Blast and Sparks, which are basically the same spell, just one does fire damage, one does electric damage. Now on the clerical side, you have healing magics like Spirit, Mind, and Body. It's either used for passive upgrades or for general healing purposes. But with Light and Dark, oh my god. Shrapnel is a dark spell that does 10 quadrillion damage a hit. Okay, well not that much, but still a lot. Hour of Power is a light spell that simultaneously casts a ton of spells at once that buff your entire party, and it lasts even longer than if you casted them alone. Then there's Prismatic Light, which acts like a screen nuke and damages every single visible enemy on screen. Then there's the craziest spell in the game, Armageddon, which, I shit you not, kills or hurts everything on a map, even you. So, I wouldn't recommend doing this on town maps, cause you'll kill civilians. It is a ruthless spell, and I love it. My only complaint with the spells in this game is that sometimes they are samey. Like I said, there's elemental variants about some spells, and then there's light and dark, which are like souped up versions of other spells. But regardless of that fact, these spells are very fun to use. Now with the dungeon design, this game has some wonderful dungeons. Some have crazy puzzles, and others are more straight to the point. Tomb of Varn, Werewolf Lair, the original castle, Freehaven Sewer, Silverhelm Outpost, Castle Creekspire, haha. Too many good dungeons. Now with, say, bad dungeons, there's only 3. The first is the Temple of Ba. This place isn't that bad, but it starts stupidly. How? They give you the hint that you need expert perception to open the doors, behind a door that you need expert perception to open. Wow! The second is Castle Alamos, which is too big and has way too many enemies in it. Because of that, it makes enemies, look at you like you're the easiest target in the bunch. As much as I want to tell you what the password is for this map, all I'm going to say is good luck. The third is Castle Darkmoor. This place is hell, because enemies can cast Dispel Magic on you from inside walls. So just moving around makes you lose all your shit instantly. And fighting enemies combat-wise is a pain. Even worse is that the enemies that do cast Dispel on you are these little tiny dots that fly away. Yup, this isn't that fun. This is the kind of dungeon where you either A, take your time and probably get a headache, or B, you map your quick spell button to the spell jump. It's a shame that these 3 are bad because they're main plot dungeons too, so you can't skip them. But otherwise, every other dungeon in the game, ooh, they are so fun and nice. You want to know one of my favorites? Werewolf Slayer. Why? Because it's shaped like a paw. And that's something I wanted to talk about, is the charm that this game really has. One thing that this series has overall is charm. If you've noticed, the people who made this game are nerds. There are a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek references hidden in this game too.
Live long and prosper.
Another charming thing would have to be the Temple of Ba. The Ba is a doomsday cult in this game, and it's as stupid as it sounds. These are indeed crazy people that ba at you, and warn you that the end is nigh. Speaking of people, that's another subject of charm. When you talk to villagers in this game, they introduce themselves and give you a variety of topics, and depending on your reputation, they'll treat you differently. This is where the diplomacy skill comes in, as it lets you talk to people regardless of your rating, and you don't really need it. The NPCs are more like flavor text. And it's also why diplomacy is removed. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The writing, the characters, the environment, the game has so much charm to it. I won't deny that I've laughed pretty hard at certain things, like Lady Loretta's obsession with money, and store clerks yelling at you if you have a lot of money but don't buy anything.
See you, cheapskate.
How rude!
This just shows that effort was put into this game, and it makes it such a charming and overwhelmingly positive experience. Hell, you know who the ruler of Enroth is? You know who rules all of that continent? A kid, Nikolai Ironfist, who is only the king because his father is missing and his mother is too busy on another continent, which we'll get to soon. Also, you can take him on a quest to the circus and he'll ditch you. What a little shit! So you have to get the prince back, and yes, he is at the circus. This game is so dumb. And now we can keep going with the plot. You remember that Oracle of Enroth, right? If you heard before, I did mention that you have to get memory crystals. Yeah, the Oracle of Enroth is a computer. Yeah, you thought this was a fantasy game, right? You know, that cataclysm that happened 1,000 years ago? Yeah, this whole society is based on barbarism. And yes, the Kriegans, as said, are the ones that caused it originally. So you have to prevent the Kriegans from doing that again, and you have to prevent them from blowing up your world, and you have to get some nice new toys to use against them. The blasters. The blasters are unique weapons that fire very quickly, do alright damage, and are ranged. And now they are overpowered because of that. Especially because you need one to beat the game. Now here's the thing, I played through with the blasters for a while and then I did a quest with my normal weapons. The game was still fun without blasters. But while the game pushes the blasters as the dominant strategy, especially since you get them near the end of the game, I don't think they undermine the original gameplay that much. But man, once you go blaster, it's hard to go back. It's time for a Dragon Armageddon! Well, that's about it to talk about with this game's gameplay. So now we get to the graphics of this game, which is certainly something that's a bit more debatable. I'm not gonna lie, this game kinda does look like ass. I mean, it looked good like 4 years ago, but not when it came out. There are 3 things it does right, though, that make it look very, very good. The first is that this game doesn't use any filtering. Everything in this game looks very crisp, and it's very easy to tell where everything is. The second is that this game uses real people in it, so while there is some bad CGI characters in it, most of the main characters look like actual people, therefore not really distracting from the bad CG modeling in it. Plus, it just adds to the charm. It seriously looks like something like the guys at New World Computing dressed up for this game. It's kind of funny to think about that. And the third thing is that this game uses a very vibrant color palette. I'm sure you've noticed that this game is very colorful, and that's one of the greatest things about it. Dungeons benefit from this the most, however, outside still looks very colorful anyway, despite it using a lot of dirt. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that this game doesn't look dated, it really does, but that doesn't mean it isn't appealing in some fashion. This game is also very optimized and runs at a solid 64 frames, I don't know why, but at the same time I've never had a problem with optimization in this game, not even on a 98 computer itself. Now the audio. Oh my god, this game's soundtrack is incredible. Like, this is no exaggeration. This is really, really well composed stuff. And of course, there's no way I'm not gonna make you guys listen to this. This is one of my favorite songs in the game. it's soundtracks like this that really keep you engaged in the game. It's so peaceful, so immersive. You just kind of want to stay, you know? Sound effects, there's not much to complain about. There's also not much to say about it either. I mean, I would have to say that some of the spells sound really good, like shrapnel. Whew! That's the good stuff. The voice acting in this game is ridiculously cheesy. When people identify things, they go, "Oh!" And when you talk to people, they just have these fucking goofy-ass introductions. I mean, most of the time it's just these calm hello, but you got like,
Greetings and salutations.
this game is just so dorky. Now, okay, I will say that this is basically just one guy, but for real, this is still a good voice. I would have to say that the voice acting in this game is...
Excellent.
So what can I say? This is just the first part of the Enroth trilogy, and it's already a home run. Admittedly, some fine-tuning would be needed, like getting rid of guilds and all that jazz, but maybe some of the future entries fix that. This is a game that truly captures a lot of the difficulty in party management into skill and planning ahead. This also lets you explore, go anywhere you wish, and however clever you are, you can go to areas earlier than your level, making repeat playthroughs of this game more positive. Look, I'm flat out saying in this review, I love this game. There's so many secrets, so much to do, so many new and exciting ways to approach enemies, so many fun quests, so many ways to go about this game. It's freedom. But my point is, this is a must-own game. Like, I'm not even kidding, this is probably a game I would keep in my top 10 favorites of all time. I really enjoy this game. And yes, while some future entries did refine it, nothing came close to what this game did. Now you may be wondering, if this first one is my favorite, then how do I feel about the other two? Well, you'll just have to wait and find out.
Thanks. Come again.
You too.